I took to B&H to find the #1 bestseller for headphones. Once I found them, which was in the $70 to $80 range, I then looked for the next top seller in that same price range. The #1 bestseller is the Sony Mdr 7506, which has over 1,000 reviews and a rating of 4.7 out of 5 stars on B&H. Reading many of these reviews, many people love these headphones. As for the top seller, the Sony SMH 1000 gets a rating of 4.5 with 200 reviews. While many people definitely love these reviews, there's some caution about them becoming intermittent and starting to cut in and out, which I have firsthand knowledge of. Now the Sonys fit my ears the best, but the Sonals have a much lighter feel to them, even though they're 0.2 ounces heavier. I think the reality here is they're not as tight as the Sonys, and therefore they actually feel lighter. When it comes to studio headphones, the way I see it is there's two different types. There's types that are very enjoyable, very fun to listen to, and there are other ones that are kind of boring but much flatter to listen to. My old AKG K240s that I've had for a very long time sound very flat to me, where these two headphones have a bit more of a bass boost. They sound very similar in the high end and the mid-range, but they got a lot more low end than my AKG headphones. Now, if you're doing video editing and you don't want to have all that bass and you want to have a bit more flatter response, it's pretty easy to just go into your sound card and grab a graphic EQ and bring down some of the bass so they're a bit flatter. And like I said before, the high end and the mid-range for both of these headphones are pretty similar. However, the bass is quite different. If you really like bass heavy stuff, the Sonys are definitely for you. If you want something a little bit flatter, which is not totally flat, definitely get the Sonals. Or if you want to go really flat and somewhat boring, get the AKGs. Now this is very subjective. Everybody hears differently. In fact, at my age, I can't hear anything above 15,000 hertz anyway. I think when I was like 18 years old and playing the drums, I couldn't hear anything above 18K. Whereas these headphones can go to 20K in terms of frequency response. Now, I used to be an audio engineer before I started this YouTube channel, and I've tried out many different headphones over the years. These have always been my favorite every time I've compared them to something else. They've been extremely flat, boring. But the big problem with these AKGs, beside them falling apart a little bit, they don't fit my head very well. They're high impedance, which means they're very low in terms of sensitivity. So when you're out in the field, they're not great. In the studio, they're fine. But when you're out in the field and you want one headphones, let's say, to rule them all, you could buy a set of headphones like this. And they work great on the field because they're somewhat closed back. They're very high output. So if you connect them directly up to, let's say, your Sony camera or something like that, you're going to get a lot of output and be able to hear quite well. Compared to the AKGs, you're not going to hear well at all. All right, next up, let's talk about durability. Now you can see these are my 4-year-old Sonals, and as you can see this connector right here, see how loose that is right there? Now let's compare that to a brand new set of Sonals. Same exact headphones, and you can see how much tighter that is, that connector. What's ironic is when I first got those Sonals, I was like, oh, this is a great idea. You can just basically disconnect right here in case you want to change out a cord. Let's say you don't want a really just a short cord like this and you want to get like a coiled cord or something. What a great idea. And if anything should happen, which a lot of times happens, if something goes wrong, it's probably going to be the cable and you can just replace the cable. Well, it turns out this is actually the weakest point right here is where it connects in. And as you can see here, I'm taking apart my 4-year-old Sonal headsets, and I am getting in to find out where exactly it's become intermittent over time. And like I said, you read a lot of the reviews on B&H and it talks about them cutting out, and it's just not really well designed in terms of the connector that you see right here. It becomes loose over time. So what I did is I kind of just took them all and I did some soldering, soldered them all up, kind of taped it up, put it back together, and now they work just fine. But if you were to compare it to the Sonys, as you can see here, the Sonys, I think what they've done here is really good because they don't seem like they're going to become a problem in the future. So that's pretty much it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.